Right, apologies for absence.
Apologies from Ricky has gone, Alex Wickham and Louis Seymour will be late. She said she's working.
Reports from County. David, you got anything for us? It's a new year. Be cheerful.
Well, there we are. Chairman.
Good to see you, mate.
I hope you've survived Christmas, unlike my good self who had the sort of lurgy all over Christmas, which must be one of the few people who managed to lose weight over Christmas. Quite handy, really. That might not necessarily be good news. Just to say, really, that it's a time of year for worrying about how much money we got to spend for next year, but that's obvious. That happens every time at this time of year. I thought you might be interested to know that we've been having considerable success helping the NHS out of their so-called winter crisis. We've been removing clients from their hospitals faster than we've ever done. In fact, we've had a 60% improvement on our performance compared with a sort of NHS improvement just under 8%. So we have, and we're becoming sort of quite nationally popular from the Secretary of State, keep writing us very nice notes saying keep up the good work. So our home first policies and our discharge to assess policies are playing huge dividends, because what I can say is that hospital beds, unless you're acutely ill, are not very nice places to be. You're surrounded by very poorly people. If you fall out of your bed, you don't land on your nice carpet like you would at home, you land on some concrete floor, and if you spend any length of time in there, you struggle to get actually physically out of the bed. So in your own comfy armchair or in your own bed is where we all need to be. And what my challenge over the next few months is to talk long and hard with the NHS to try and get some money out of their acute hospitals into community services, because actually in some circumstances your only option, and I have a personal experience of my next door neighbour as a sort of falls over quite regularly, and on some occasions you cannot just get a GP to come and check him over. You have to call a very expensive ambulance, and their normal response is, we need to take you to a very expensive hospital, and you can sit there and wait for 5 or 6 hours, which is not going to be any good. So community services are the way forward, but convincing the NHS that they don't need ever-increasing number of beds is really quite a challenge.
That's a question, isn't it?
Yeah, David.
David, now we've got our Minister of Health responsible for both the health service and the social services side of things. Is it unlikely to see a link between the NHS and social care?
Well, I mean, it's the Holy Grail.
Well, it is, but
one of the reasons that I think years ago the government, well, not that many years ago, probably 8 or 9 years now, the government decided in their eternal wisdom they'd give us responsibility for public health, because they thought, well, those people in the councils have to balance their books every year and we'll see how we get on. But the NHS and the CCG and all these other people run massive deficits, and you go, you can't keep doing this, team, and they go, the government will send us some more money. I am convinced that actually the more money they send them, the more money, you don't get any better. I'm sorry, I don't.
How are you financing the extra social care?
We are doing extraordinarily well, in fact, actually, because you're right, we have uncapped demand. So everybody in this room could pitch up at our door and say, help me, I need care.
God forbid.
So we have no control over that, but what we do have control over is we used to default to nursing home, a bit like the health service default to bed in hospital. Well, we don't do that anymore. What can we do for you in your own? Because that's where everybody wants to be. Everybody wants to be in their own house.
But you've got to have the right support, David.
Absolutely.
People laying in bed all night, incontinent.
Absolutely right. And in fact, one of our great success stories, certainly in West Somerset, which must be the most difficult part of the county to have care in, we've set up lots of little micro businesses, can be as small as a husband and wife team, or just a wife or a husband, who set up as little care providers to provide care in their village or their little community. And we've probably got over a couple of hundred in West Somerset now. So it's easier than agency staff, and it's a lot easier than these big staff things. It's very successful.
Excellent.
Are you publicising this?
I'm sorry?
Are you publicising this so that lots more people know about it?
Absolutely. The challenge, of course, is the more you publicise something, the more people want it. So there's a little bit of a balance between advertising all the wonderful things we do and and the resources we've got available.
Can we let David go on there?
Yes, any highway issues, Chairman?
Definitely.
Hmm?
The dreaded sign at Wells still hasn't been replaced.
Okay.
I spoke to the young lady who kindly came to visit us, a young lady called Catherine, very nice.
Catherine Tyson?
That's it, she came, she walked the streets with me and went away and we've exchanged.
You've had some extraordinary high-profile highwaymen to see you recently, haven't you?
No.
Yeah. I like the way you said that. Yeah.
And I keep saying, have you got a list, when are you going to put up your little Darth Vader at the top of the hill?
When are you going to get one?
Well, they provided you with the details of where it was and you were going to go off on it, weren't you?
No, we're waiting to hear what we can have. Catherine Tyson, I showed her Darth Vader, which we thought good or some similar thing.
Yes.
And she said, oh, I'm not sure about that. She said, that might not be possible. I said, well, find something that is possible and come back to us. Well, we've not got anything. She did say to me a week ago when I emailed her that she's been very busy over the Christmas. She's on the verge of replying. I think that was a reply, wasn't it? So we're waiting. So I'm not chasing Darth Vaders or lines because she's promised to come back to me.
My understanding from the last meeting we had with Alan Jones
Yes,
and the cabinet member was that I thought we came to an agreement that you can have pretty much whatever you like as long as it's not illegal and you don't stick it on the highway. As long as you get on with it, we don't have to pay for it. But
We're happy to get on with it.
tends to go round in circles, some of these arguments.
No, it's got to be approved, doesn't it, by a county council?
Well, absolutely.
So if you tell us what we can have, we get on with it.
Yes. Okay. Right.
So we haven't, basically, that on that side, Catherine, I'm hopeful she'll come back to us very shortly, so I don't want her harassed.
No.
But on the signage front, David, you must be as frustrated as I, because it's been over 2.5 years now, I think.
Yes.
And it's only at the moment we're only chasing the one sign, forget about the others, just have that one.
Which one?
The one at Wells, which used to be there, and it's pointed lorries down the A, whatever it was.
It's there.
Where was it put
Yes,
there?
yeah. I've noticed it this week.
Wow, that's good, it's there apparently.
Well, unless we talk about different signs, I drive that road quite regularly. I go, there's the sign.
No, it wasn't there last week.
Oh, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, right.
No, so I drove around it and I emailed Catherine and she said, yes, she said, I don't know why that's not there, so I'll follow it up. So it's obviously been done in the last few days.
I won't delay you any longer,
Thank
Chair.
you. Thank you very much indeed.
Right.
Yeah.
Cheerio. I'll see you when it gets a little lighter and a little
That'd be nice.
nicer.
Yeah.
Right.
Cricket season words then. Polly, can you help us, Mike?
Yes, okay, so far this month I've attended a community scrutiny meeting with independent drainage board members to scrutinise the work that the IDB do and to find out the workings of the board and the changes ahead, because they're kind of trying to reduce the numbers that sit on the board. We wanted to know, we were basically being asked how we feel as kind of district council members who sit on the board, how we feel about the meetings and what our purpose is, because quite often we sit in these 2-hour meetings or longer and come out thinking, what is it they want from us? What are we meant to be doing? And there's not a lot of feedback between the two people, so we want to know how we can contribute more. So that's going to be taken to full council in the future. Attended a Licensing General Purposes Committee meeting last week where we considered our response to the Department of Culture, Media and Sports consultation on gaming machines and the social responsibility measures. We all voted that the maximum stake on B2 gaming machines, which are fixed odds betting machines, which are like roulette machines, should be reduced from £100 to £2 maximum at a time.
Totally agree.
Is there not a time limit to that as well? Whereas not only is it £2, wasn't there a time before you could rebet, as it were, or is it just a
yes, there is. They're slowing down the spinning time and things like that, so it's not so easy to lose money. And just attended the Wedmore Neighbourhood Plan meeting with Blue Cedar Homes, which I'm sure will come up later. That was quite interesting. Other than that, that's about it at the moment.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
Declarations of interest, anybody? Okay. Minutes of the meeting held on the 20th.
It's okay, Chairman, I've had no comments.
Any problem, anybody?
No.
No public participation. No public slightly surprised. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. No public participation. Great. Matters arising. First issue, village agent update from Judy. We decided we're going to put this one back under confidential because of some of the content of what Judy wants to tell us. Okay, we're going to have, at the end of the meeting, there's going to be a confidential period in any case, once we discuss the huge amount of money we're going to be paying Rob from now on. So that one goes into the long grass for a bit, just for a bit longer, okay? Glenys, sexist parking update. Has there even been a Board of Governors meeting?
Well, I was asked to contact the head teacher to see what's going on, which I have done, and he's actually put it on the main Governors meeting, which is going to be next week, the next Monday. But I mean, it is being thought about, discussed within the school, and we'll see what happens at the Governors meeting.
There was the option of money, wasn't there?
I'm just against. I just wonder what the chances were of accessing the Hinkley Point
Yes, it was Eon.
Yeah.
mitigation fund
Yeah.
on the grounds that they pinched all the bus drivers, so the buses are expensive and we're ending up with far too many people driving in.
He's got the letter.
Okay.
He's looking at it, and we'll talk about it on Monday. Okay.
Okay. Financial matters.
Yeah, Chairman, you'll please hear the accounts balance again this month. And Councillor Theale and Councillor Cousin are going to sign the cheque. That's okay, everybody?
Thank you very much.
You've got a spare pen?
I did that.
Okay, moving on to 1808-018. Consider a speaker for the annual assembly. It occurs to me that we've got a new chief executive officer at Sedgemoor. All right. One Alison Griffin. So we asked Polly if she would care to approach this lady.
I have.
And
I've approached her PA. We're waiting to hear. They've not said no. I've given them the dates, the time. She came back and just said, what sort of thing would you like to talk about? So I said, well, how she, her past, how she got to the role, and what her role involves, and to speak for about 20 minutes.
okay.
So hopefully she will come.
You think she'll come?
I'm sure she will.
Well, we haven't heard yet.
Haven't heard officially, but hopefully she will.
What's the name?
Pardon?
What's the name?
Alison Griffin.
If she doesn't come,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say.
as a backstop,
Yes.
maybe I was thinking that health is a very topic issue these days, and we've got quite a lot of reorganisation going on. Maybe the local chairman or representative of the local area health group, what are they called these days?
You were
Not
talking,
trusts anymore, are
you're talking about one of the guys from Ashbridge.
they? No, not local. I'm talking about the local health group itself.
That could still be Jackson Boyce.
Yeah, because he's on it.
No, anyway, it was just a thought.
All right. Plan B. If Alison Griffin. Anybody else got any ideas? Don't sort of keep quiet about them.
We do need to book it, that's the thing.
Yeah. As soon as you get feedback, Polly.
Well, what about the chap who just got all his goals
Ian
up the
Bell.
road? Who did the
Ian Bell.
yeah.
Paul.
About all his fundraising for the cathedral school.
He'd give us a good talk on the Wales Cathedral
That
School.
would be interesting.
Yeah. The only slight flip side to that argument is actually
It's raising one of the wells. Has it got to be Redwall related then?
well, I think it would be preferable. We did actually send him a card saying congratulations.
He was very delighted to receive it.
And we received a very nice card back.
So, I guess, all right, again, could I put both those as plans B and C?
Good.
Thank you. Okay.
You could always ask Trevor if you want some entertaining.
Sorry?
Yes, that's D. Sorry, was that a bit pointed? I was half expecting him to be here tonight, actually. But anyway. Okay, moving on. Installation of pedestrian lighting at the car park.
Well, I had the money quote, Chairman, at the last meeting, which was just under 3,000. I met another electrician this week, suggested by Mike Bethel. He's going to come back with a price for me. Another one that Polly suggested, he rang me yesterday,
Okay,
and we're going to meet next week.
brilliant.
So if we can defer that for another month, there's no real rush on it now. But, well, I don't know what time it is.
But yeah,
Let's get lighter.
I'm going to say, it's the flip side of that argument is Edwin suggested we were going to deal with it
Yeah.
at this meeting. It is getting lighter, we'll get these wretched things in and it'll be...
Yeah, if we've got 3 quotes, I think probably we ought to leave it.
Unfortunately, we've only got one at the moment.
We've only
We've
got
got
one.
one at the moment.
2 pending. So.
Two.
Yeah.
I think at 3,000, that's quite a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm certainly hoping
Should have
that
three quotes anyway.
Well, yeah, I look forward to a suggestion about ways to proceed on this one. Polly, you got something?
No, sorry, I
Sorry.
just put my pen in
I'm
there.
going to
Sorry.
strongly retract the matters.
What are you doing that?
If we get 3 quotes and they are much of a muchness, can we?
Let's go ahead.
Yes.
Can we give Rob the authority
Absolutely.
to just go that one, please? Proceed
Yeah,
at your
that's a good
earliest
idea.
convenience.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of good news, Rob. I bet you can fill them in on this one about Stuart Hewlett's response to our suggestion about using our civil money.
Yes, we got, was it 1,900, I think, comes through from SIL money this year. We can use that money for that particular project, but, well, I asked about some match funding. He said, well, his secretary said, didn't think that would be appropriate, or would be, because there'll be a whole pot of money to be divided, and it will be a question of priorities. But if we wanted to use that particular fund towards that project, we couldn't see any problem whatsoever.
Excellent.
Great.
That's good.
I mean, it would be quite nice to stockpile this money, but if we've got something in hand, we
Yeah.
should use
Well,
it.
let's get it done and then,
Definitely.
yeah.
We can hold it for 5 years.
I think that's a project that really
So
needs
do
to
we,
go ahead, so.
do you want to propose that we say that,
Yes, please. Could I put that forward as a proposal to the
Yeah.
council that, once we have quotes, that Roger is permitted to go ahead or to instruct the winner to go ahead.
send
We
them
have a
out?
vote on that.
Yeah, send it.
Vote, okay?
I'll obviously speak to Chairman or Vice Chairman.
Chairman, Vice Chairman,
Yeah.
myself. I
Okay,
suggest.
thank you.
Moving on. Proposed cost for hedge cutting at the cemetery. We covered this. This was just going to be a rubber stamp again, wasn't it? Like the last one.
Yeah.
We're happy. It's going to be looking at £1,000. Mike, this is the guy who's going to be doing the allotment.
Hoping to move in tomorrow at the allotment, so.
So do you reckon there's a cat and mouse chance we'll get both sets of work done? Allotment to hedge to, cemetery. Which would be good, I think.
Yeah.
As soon as possible. Right, brilliant. Thank you very much.
But you're still getting a price for that.
We
Well,
have,
we did agree a price before, last meeting.
Pounds,
You came in with it after it was all agreed, actually, but I have left a message with the chap. We had an alternative contractor.
okay.
We did agree at the last meeting to go ahead with it.
Yes, we did. All right, to consider a worthy recipient for the Henry Butt. Rod, I think you've got one in the back
I've got
pocket.
one in my back pocket. If anybody else has got one, perhaps you put on a piece of paper and let me have it, because it's nice to give it a surprise if we can.
Okay. So do you want us to vote
Not tonight.
at this
no,
point?
no,
Right,
no, no.
okay.
It'll be on the agenda for.
It's not a person, Rod, it's a group of people.
That's fine.
Yeah,
As long as
that
it's
still works.
Wedmore.
Like Wedmore and Bloom, I don't believe all them in anything.
I think we've had it before.
They are familiar with.
I'm sure. I've got a list of things.
Can't overdo it, do we? I know we did the Tuesday club, didn't we? Last
You
year?
did?
They were thrilled.
Yeah, and I think the Blue, Wedmore and Bloom did a fantastic job of volunteers.
Yeah, I think we've had it before.
Have they?
I've got a list. Yeah. Jessica, thank you for
And then there was only myself, and I thought that's a bit.
Right, moving on. Update from the Neighbourhood
Thank you.
Plan Committee.
Well, shall I start?
Well, yes, because we were all, you weren't at the...
No, exactly.
Yeah, that
Well,
was-
just in short,
yeah.
we met with Lucinda Holmes recently, as Polly inferred.
Yeah.
We were trying to press them to get together with Wells Almshouses to make it a more viable and palatable development. It's clear that their company strategy is not to do anything other than high-value accommodation for the elderly, which didn't really suit our plan too much. The mayor, bless him, very pompous man by the name, I think his name's John North, isn't it? Turned up and tried to take over the meeting, but he didn't really know what he was talking about. But effectively, it was very disappointing, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, dreadful.
So
Terrible.
really, the Holdenhurst development is really on its own now as far as the neighbourhood plans are concerned. We don't think it meets with our requirements and so on, but we're rescoring it all. There was a meeting of the neighbourhood plan team last night where they went over the evaluation of all the comments back from the road shows, etc. And unfortunately, I didn't get there because I was at a funeral.
No, we didn't. We got it. The document is like
Tabulation.
huge, you know,
Yeah.
and it's going to be circulated
Oh, brilliant.
in the next couple of days. It just needs a little finishing off.
So what we're referring to there, Nick, is that all the responses and replies we got back from our roadshow we did, they've all been collated now into the various sections of people's likes and dislikes. So we're having to take all those now and bring those together so that we can put together a draft plan under the various headings, taking everybody's likes and dislikes into account. And that's where we're at, really, I think.
Yeah, and also we will have to inform people that Holdenhurst and the almshouse, the trust land, is actually not going to form part of the neighbourhood plan.
Not as one.
Not as, well, yeah, no, well, it was put in as one, but separately we wouldn't advise Holdenhurst. We decided that with it having already two appeals against it, we've got to put the neighbourhood plan to the inspectorate for them to inspect it at a later date.
But you just bring me one question. What happens to the almshouses? Okay, and now you've separated those apart.
Well,
They stand on their own.
I did say to them, I hadn't talking to any other developer, and they said they hadn't. Because it occurred to me, if the Holdenhurst outfit, Lucina Homes, fail again, I don't know what the relationship is with them and the Rippons, but there must come a time when the Rippons are going to have a break clause in the agreement they've got. And it may surface again if it fails, but it may go ahead. It's quite a nice development they're putting together.
I mean, they've changed it constantly. It's now 11 houses.
No, but we're not talking the almshouses. We're
No,
talking
we're talking about
Holdenhurst.
the Holdenhurst development as is now is quite different than we said before. And it's not something I think many of us would oppose. And I don't think we necessarily support it either.
No, that's fine. But going back to the almshouses, I might have missed something here.
Well, no, the thing is with the almshouses, they've got that plot of land the other side of
Yes.
the car park road. They own the car park road, as you know. In isolation, they're not going to achieve anything. They're not going to be allowed to build houses on that, I don't think.
But it's quite a big plot of land.
Yeah, but
It's
it
quite
goes,
wet.
it goes down
Very wet.
quite quickly. It's very, very wet. We were working with them on the basis that them and Holdenhurst together could reconfigure the car park road and make it one neat development with some affordable housing in as well. But
And using the existing car park road to come out of it. So we're not putting an entrance bang smack on that corner.
Okay.
But they've
We've got
chosen not to go.
we've got a meeting with Strongbox, I think it's next week. Soon?
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday we've got a meeting with Strongbox. They're the people that are looking at the West Island Farm sites. They come and show us what their potential thoughts are on that.
Yeah.
That's got some good mileage in it if it's viable and popular with the village, because it might help us with the road issues up there as well.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Any questions for these two on this one? It's funny in that, and we'll move on to the community land trustees.
Oh yeah, sorry.
This is a bit of a blind one for me.
Well, it's going to be very quick and brief if you don't mind, Nick. I was going to try and put together a load of stuff, but I haven't really had the time. But in essence, what a community land trust is anybody, are you all familiar? Not? Yeah. But they're becoming very popular, and the benefits of them are, it's a community controlled and owned trust, which enables you to own and hold community housing. Okay, so the trust owns it, the trust decides who lives there, and they're holding the trust in perpetuity. In other words, they can't be sold under the right to buy scheme. The trust can decide who lives in them. So in other words, if we had some community housing in Wedmore, we could keep them for people who are linked to Wedmore, children, residents, young people coming up, and so on and so forth. They're permanently affordable housing assets, in other words. They can't be sold off, and so on. It's a non-for-profit organisation. The challenge is running it. You need a group of volunteers who are prepared to be the trustees of this. We've got quite a nice big folder on it with case studies and so on. They talk all about it. But one of the things which I would suggest, anybody can borrow it if they want to read through it. There is now a start-up fund, and there's people who are prepared to come and explain all the benefits and pitfalls of it and what it could do for Wedmore. I think we should give that some consideration, because it's something we might move forward with towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
when we know what we're doing in terms of housing. So there's a thing called the Community Land Trust Fund, and it's a start-up fund. I think I'm trying to find out how much money is available. Here we are. Stage 1, they'll offer us 1 day support with a specialist Community Land Trust technical advisor, and this day will help you flesh out your ideas and decide whether a CLT is for us. So I would suggest that, you know, you can read this stuff and it all sounds great, but actually doing it is another thing. So maybe later in the year we go ahead and get this guy to come in and maybe talk to a group of us or all of us or whatever. And spend some time on it.
Can you make that available to people who have an interest?
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, it's here. If anybody wants to borrow it, they're welcome to borrow it.
Keep
But
an eye on
I
it.
need to look after it, so I need
Yes,
to take
please.
your name and
Yeah, okay.
deposit.
Right, this goes towards the land trust, I think.
But perhaps if we could spend a bit of time, Brett, thinking about this, and
Yes.
maybe the second half of the year, get
See what we saw.
yeah.
See if we've got something.
That,
Okay, thank
it
you.
looks like a good idea, is all I can tell you.
All right, for now that sounds good.
That's very good.
Issues and questions. Am I here already? Yeah, I'm just worried about that. Seems we got here too quickly. Right, right. Come on then. Let's make a start on this one, please. Who has questions that they would like to raise?
I would like to know, are we due to have a housing meeting? Of the housing?
Neil's supposed to be here. He was meant to be here tonight. He was going to be talking about his meeting, the Acorn. With Acorn. I believe he's had some communications with them since. Did anybody go to that Acorn meeting?
Yes, yes.
I'll be interested in hearing your opinions. Well, come on, Sue, you've got
Well,
the floor at the moment.
I've written to them, I sent them an email today as feedback from that meeting. And my worries were that I can't see that they've integrated the affordables with the upmarket housing, which is part of the 106 agreement, if I'm not mistaken, Jessie.
Yes.
Obviously these were my comments, but I think that is really important as part of the council. You worked really hard on getting that agreement, and if they're not sticking to it at this stage, this is a bit of a worry.
Right. Thank you, Sue. Polly, you had something to comment?
No, not massively.
Does anybody else have something they'd like to comment on? Yeah, come on, please, Jen.
I did question them about the 106. So far as I'm concerned, that 106 cannot be altered. It's a legal agreement and everybody should keep to a legal agreement. But I did not like the design of some of the houses, the ones with wood on. And I made that clear on my
That was
comments.
another one of my comments.
I said, but generally, I agree with Sue that there wasn't enough integration of the houses and that. But on the other hand, I didn't argue about the layout. And I spent more than an hour studying it.
Right, okay, but that's interesting because
Yes, you see, I didn't get that the layout was them and us.
No.
I looked at it, there were quite a lot of, it was kind of quite dotted around, I thought.
Yeah, but when you looked at where they were, where the actual affordable houses were, they were mainly in one place.
the impression I got is that all the two-bedroom properties were down at one end, closest to lots of orchard. And I thought that's what the affordable housing is going to be. So they're all going to be. The affordable houses may well be integrated, but they will only be integrated with two-bedroom houses. The threes and the fours seem to be blocked elsewhere. I raised it with Neil, and he said he was going to go back to
Ed Lewis.
And Ed Lewis has come back. Well, I don't know what that conversation led to, but Ed Lewis is still saying.
Can Neil update us?
He was going to be here tonight. I know he's gone down with
Got some kidney infection.
kidney infection. Yeah, what is his repercussions tonight?
It's not in the best look, is it?
not with his foot, whether this is questions of the foot infection, I don't know. But he had intended to be here tonight and he would have been answering these questions by now. He knows a lot more about it than I do. But it's not just you, there's more than one person voicing the same opinion. That there was a suspicion it didn't look as well integrated as it should have been, and that's been our argument with Holdenhurst all the time.
Yeah.
So we're going to look fools if we sign up for something that somebody else will be objected to. Okay, any other business?
Yeah, I did. I have emailed Rod about the allotments and the fact I was approached by Sheila Tucker. She said that there are rats running along the bank by the side of her house. Her dog has come back from the allotments with a chicken carcass and a fish carcass. She's put rat poison on her side, but she's really concerned. She doesn't want to put it the other side, obviously.
I think there's somebody in the allotments using food waste for
Yeah,
composting.
well, I asked Rod to then if he could send a letter and remind everyone,
I'll put a
but
notice
she
up
said, can we do some pest control down there?
Is this Sharon?
No, Sheila.
Right.
Dave Tucker's one.
Mark Tucker.
Yes.
So she said she's done her side, but they killed her. One of the rats killed one of her guinea pigs, and she said the rats out her back door. So she's done her side. I said you've probably killed them, but she said she wants some pest control on the allotment side, please, because someone is clearly putting domestic waste down there, which you shouldn't do anyway.
I did put a notice up, Chairman. Mike's got a copy of it. It's up on the notice board. I hope
Okay.
it's-
I think I might know the guilty party will have a word.
Please do.
Yeah.
But whether we can do some sort of pest control down
Well, I
there,
can get some medical in or something.
Yeah. they'd be very grateful.
If we get the person who's the culprit and tell him not to do it, do we need to go to the expense?
Well,
The
at the
bank
moment,
is full of rats. There's a whole bank full of rat holes. Yes, I think
stop the
so.
food and stop the rats.
They're a plague proportions this year.
Obviously,
The poison that kills them. We put one lot down on our farm because we've got to keep it down, haven't we, Evelyn, all the time? And it's being ate load after load. They're dying, we don't see them, then we'll have about 3 or 4 days won't be none, and then another lot moving. It's because of the wet weather. And it'll cost a fortune to keep evaporating.
Well, I think we're going to have to give it some
You're going to
thought.
have to,
I
yeah.
think we're going to have to,
Yeah.
because we've got neighbours who are complaining.
Yeah.
And they've got
Yeah.
young, she's got
Yeah.
children there as well.
Yeah,
So-
and our guinea pig was murdered by rats, so...
Not funny. Any more? Oh, yeah.
I've got another
Yeah,
one as
yeah.
well. Worthington Close, number 7. I can never remember her name. Margaret.
I
Number
wouldn't
7.
know.
It's as you go in. She said that.
Phil Harris's partner, is it, Margaret? No, Paul.
No, she's on her own.
Oh, sorry,
She's got a
I
son.
don't
No. Her house is right next to the barrier.
Yeah.
So the back
Oh,
garden.
yes, I know what you mean. Well, yeah.
Yeah. No.
I know what you mean.
I know.
Yeah.
I know the lady anyway.
So her back garden backs onto the car park, and she said that that's land owned by the parish council. The trees at the back are owned by the parish council, and they're overgrown, and she would like them pruned. She said her neighbour had them done, the next door neighbour, but they didn't do hers. Is she correct? Because I don't
I've
know.
got the wrong trees. We're talking about the ones which border the...
Border the car park, but overshadow her garden.
Mr Chairman.
It's the ones at the end of the alleyway,
Yesterday in Will Jackson had trimmed up some trees along from the barrier up along those single parking spaces.
We've done the whole hedge of her
So I
garden.
don't know
We
whether...
cut it down by half, the whole hedge, because it was cutting her light out in her bungalow. So we'll spend a lot of time up there, and we spend a lot of money cutting the whole hedge down.
Yeah, he's
Now
cut
she's
it
talking
down
about
about
trees,
3
I
foot.
don't know. I mean, we need to get a tree surgeon in.
That's a lot of money.
That is, yeah.
Is there a hedge there?
I'll have a word with her.
I think we need to talk it through, because we have, I think we've gone overboard there a bit with the hedge to a garden. I went and saw her actually before we got Will involved. And I'd agree, it was a very, very high, out of control hedge.
Yeah.
But he's taken it down by half, right the way around the back garden as
Well,
well.
I didn't look along the back, but
Yeah.
up along the side he had, and taking it down to
I
about
better
3
have a look first, Sue, and then
Okay.
We don't mind.
Please, if you would.
So you had a whole load of stuff there to take away on the traffic. And
Yeah.
Drop it on there.
And I've got the, I'm so
That's
sorry.
what you're here for.
I had an email from Sue Mormon. I don't know whether you're aware of her. Gosh, it's not printed it out. I don't know whether did anybody go to the True Speed meeting in the village hall recently? They're a broadband company who are in, where are they? They're in the Allertons. They're already working in Chapel Allerton and locally. They're putting in fibre optic cables in there, and they are looking for the opportunity in Wedmore. They need a 30% response to go ahead, and they would like us to, I think, well, what Sue wants us to do is she's asking the parish council, is it possible that we could advertise the events that are coming up? What they're offering is, the broadband goes onto existing national power lines, like Western Power. So you don't have to have BT, you don't have to have cables dubbed in, the fibre optics going through next to their cables, and it will go directly to your house, and it's a 200 megawatt up and down. Is that right? I get a bit.
Sorry, because I did express interest at the beginning of it as well.
Yeah.
So I looked at the monthly cost and I thought, well, I'm just
£47.
I'm fine, but for people living in outlying areas, it might be.
Yeah.
You know, but
And then businesses is also, there's businesses, they're aiming at businesses as well. So I didn't want, is this something that the
It's a
parish
commercial-
council wants to
I
get?
don't think we should. It's a commercial.
Can I just jump in with preempt here? But we had an email come through from BT, would you believe, and Wedmore is meant to be up to superfast by the third and fourth quarter of this coming
Oh, I
year.
was going to say, yeah.
So, you know, maybe we've all heard this story
There's only two
before.
cabinets, Nick. If you want engine home, you've then got to pay for the cabinet. to
Yeah.
home.
Yeah,
So it's the same sort of situation, isn't it, really?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
the people in the outlying areas who want to know what's going on, I mean, it might be worth telling them that they exist, I suppose, now. It's
Yeah, but
much
they're-
remoter.
Yeah, but they're own, yeah. Well, I mean, just basically.
is it worth their while approaching us? You know, directly, as, I mean, if they want the parish council to do something, why don't they sort of do
Yeah, that's the
something?
way to do
Why
it.
don't they approach the company?
That's the way to do it, so.
Anyway, it's a thought, so if you can pass that on,
Yeah.
tell them to contact us and what the hell they want us to do.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it sounds like we're looking at 30% of Wedmore we're going to have to sign up for, which we might struggle with.
Yeah.
But-
One of the Philips that they're offering is free broadband to the village hall and the school forever.
They got it. But anyway, okay. Get them to contact us with details and we'll
Okay.
see what we can do.
Okay.
Any more? See, hopefully.
Is this the time when we bring up the George again and what's happening to the pavement outside?
Yeah, you might as well.
Because just to keep, we seem to be fobbed off all the time, and it's such a disgrace to the village.
And you are quite right, it is. And yes, all we do is get feedback from Sedgemoor. And it's environmental or it's public health. Come on, Rod, you've got no
Well,
more
the
on this.
latest thing we had was about 2 weeks ago, the Environmental Health Officer sent us an email following the question which I asked her, saying that she was going in there again to discuss it with the landlord.
He was on holiday at the
He was
time,
on
so-
holiday, but he'd come back now, presumably. But as a parish council, there's not much more we can do. We've rattled all the cages, it's in the hands of the environmental health. They've got the powers to put enforcement orders.
Yes.
But why she's not, I don't know.
Well, can we not, as a
Perhaps
borough council, ask her why she's not doing something about it?
I think we have, several times.
Well, I think we should ask
Who
again.
does she work for?
She's Sedgemoor.
Sedgemoor.
She's environmental health officer.
Holly.
Holly.
Well done, Polly.
What's the name again?
I'll have to give you the email.
Okay, I can't remember it. Okay.
It's been going on too long, hasn't it? It's
Yes,
embarrassing.
it's a year.
About 9 months, is it?
It's getting on for a year.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
pretty awful.
Well, I'd always been told, I was told that it was just, it was, the feedback I got was it was a matter for Gordon
An open
to
interest.
talk to his solicitors about and deal with, because it was BT.
It's not sewage, it's just a bit of a mess there.
Yeah, and it was something that was created by BT.
I think it's sort of drainage.
It just smells sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does. You told me to go up there and smell it, so it didn't really smell at all. So it's just the way it seems to go.
But it's an eyesore to the village, and I just feel that, the parish council should be in a position to be able to do.
You're right.
Yeah, but a bit of that, Polly
I'm just drawing the blank.
can drop this on the right person's lap and ask them to
Well, I'll
politely.
try again.
Getting
Just,
dear.
I fear.
Sorry, Polly.
That's all right.
Okay.
It isn't also the right time to say that, could we not have the minutes sent to us within the first week of the meeting, because I for one forget what's been said.
Right, within the first week,
of having the
Soon after the
meeting.
as well as immediately before the meeting.
No,
Just
just the once, so that we can all read them and remember what
That would be useful because quite often if you've got an action, it helps you
Yes.
say, well, I better do something about that.
You're talking about the minutes of the current meeting, the ones I'm writing
yeah.
now.
Today's meeting,
Yeah.
Because
right?
these won't be signed off until the next meeting.
No, but you circulate them to us before the meeting.
I should take the last meeting.
Yes.
The meeting, this
They
meeting.
want this. They want these
meeting's
meetings.
This
These minutes.
meeting's minutes were sent to us before the next meeting.
No, I won't.
Well, don't
Oh,
you-
yes.
Yes, you
Yes, I
will.
will. Try. Yeah,
So,
try. Sorry.
I think what Suzanne's saying is,
Yeah.
and I tend to agree, if we could have them say within a week or two of the meeting, it'd be really useful because they do prompt us to do, oh my God, I did say I'd do that. I mean, if we only give them sort of a few days before the meeting.
You
I know
what's
it's
happening
not
with
It's only an it's only an email. It's not a
Well,
problem.
that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Not a
yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Could I ask another question? This is just a question.
I think I'm going to limit you lot. I'm really getting to the stage where I'm saying one question per month or something. Go on.
What are we here for?
Yeah, good question.
What are we here for?
I'm joking.
Just that I know he's joking. I just want to know if the trees are being taken down, and we think that it might be without planning permission.
Oh God, yeah, go on.
How do you deal with that?
Report it to the tree lady.
Tree
Directly
lady.
to-
Report it to her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one with regards to the emergency order of tree work at Close Field?
To where?
The one on the correspondence list? Are you not? You might.
No.
Oh,
No.
okay, right.
Okay, good. Right.
Contentious.
Can we move on? Correspondence.
A couple of late items came in. One yesterday from the planning applicant at Sandhouse, which the planning committee discussed recently. That application is now being withdrawn, I understand, and there'll be a new plan submitted. And the other one from Major Tones concerning highways issues. This is something which Steve George has dealt
Well,
with.
I delayed it, unfortunately, Mr. Chairman. I ended up with a letter with the clerk and he got very upset. And we replied to it all anyway.
Yeah, I've seen that. That seems to be
Everything else is fairly standard, I think.
in hand.
There's a letter there regarding emergency order of tree work, which I thought Sue was referring to. There's a pitched battle going on in the field opposite my house between neighbours, Mr Gibbs and Dennis, whatever his name is, his wife, Dennis Jones, and a couple of other neighbours all out there, because Jimmy was chopping the tree down in the middle of the field on the basis that it was dangerous. In fact, he did have an
He did.
email
He got
from
permission.
Nick Tate
Yes.
to say to him, if it is dangerous, then chop it down. Sort of
Yes.
thing. But it did strike me as, that Nick Tate's not a tree expert.
He did submit photographs of the tree.
Yeah,
and
Nick Tate,
I'm sure that would have been
Nick
passed.
Tate, would he have referred it to a tree expert?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's that careful.
Fair enough.
He's not the.
No, I passed Nick Tate's email onto the protagonist to try and...
Yeah.
But
Poor.
it did occur to me, he could have gone about it in a more diplomatic way.
Jimmy did.
Really?
There's a pitch battery going on over there, wasn't it?
Right, okay. Any other things from the correspondence? Because if not, I'm going to move on to committee reports. Oh, excuse me. Cemetery.
We're going to have a meeting soon.
10th of February.
10th of February, there's a meeting.
Now, at the risk of preempting that meeting,
Saturday morning at the cemetery.
yeah, but you and I were talking about Ricky's comment last time about the state of the railings.
You've done the sign.
You were,
They've been examined by John Bethel.
yeah,
He's been all the way up through that sign. He said that everything is in place, then there's no welding required. He did some welding for us 18 months ago, I suppose. And he said everything else is in place, and Mr. Theale can have his gates back, which was strapped against our...
so he's saying that there isn't a problem.
And I had this from John Bethel only last Thursday, but he was working in the house next door here. He
Right.
came around and told me, so I hope that's right.
Right. Are we happy with that? If that's what the man's saying.
Yes, I mean, I don't know, I haven't been out there, I don't know.
Ricky's not here, so I can't second guess it,
Yeah.
but at the moment, that's where we are. Should
Yeah.
Ricky, if you bump into anybody, just... facilities, allotments, footpaths. Good, but maybe we're seeing the headstone manana. Okay, grand job. Finance, general purposes. Don't think we've got anything. Housing, no, Neil, so we can't really deal with that in any greater detail. Carpet and Brook.
I've got a bit of stuff here from the last meeting,
Go on.
actions, because I suggested that some parts of the village, like the top of Coombatch, where there's a problem with speeding traffic coming over the brow of the hill, we might want to consider these vehicle activated signs, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Since then, I've got a couple of companies who sent me some interesting proposals. It's a little bit complicated because there's choices of mains powered, temporary, permanent, or battery with solar backup. And then there's the different types of signs. There's some which just say flash 30 mile an hour, or there's some which actually flash the speed of the car that's passing by with a smiley face if you're below the limit, blah blah blah. So I've done some a few copies here of the two proposals that I've got. I've only done 6 of each in the interest of economy.
Yeah, thank you,
So
mate.
one for the clerk,
Thank you, Chairman.
one for the chairman, and anybody else would like one. If you share, I'm grateful, pass them around.
So I just...
That's one company. And there's another, I'll give you a quick brief, my opinion on them briefly. I just thought I'd give you the details. Effectively, there's various options. I favour personally the permanent option, with it permanently plumbed into the power system, if there is such a pole which we plumb it into. You know these? The two companies, Westtech and another outfit, I can't remember their name, Thermote, I think. Another one here, anybody want another one? There's 2 different proposals. So to give you a quick resume as I see it, the ballpark figures are the speed indicating device which shows the smiley face and the speed and slow down costs anywhere, depends on the size of the sign, but anywhere between £1,400 and £1,900. With battery backup and solar panels is another £1,000.
Sorry, Steve, you can say that again, mate. 1,400 quid was a basic.
I'll do a summary and send it to you if you
Please,
like.
mate, yeah.
I haven't had time this week. I've been chasing my tail this week. I haven't had time.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'll tabulate it if you like.
Could you send us all a copy?
Yeah,
That might make it
Send
easier
it
for
send it
everybody.
off.
Yeah, but I'll just circulate these, give you the feel for, give you food for thought.
Right.
My suggestion is that if we can afford it, it seems like a good idea, we make a decision, with one of these proposals what we want, and then we can maybe go from there.
Actually, can I give you a third option?
What's that?
What's his name? Alex, somebody or other from Highways, sent us through costs of continuing the speed indicator devices. Sorry, continuing our existing speed indicator devices, which,
More permanently in place?
yeah, but his suggestion was multiple. He gave us 3 options, a 4th option, but 3 options. Basically, to cut the cost across everybody, it's going to cost us something in the order of £220 per annum. That's if every council signs up. Probably they won't. to try and make it a bit more equitable about those councils which have got more than one speed indicator device, he's suggesting that they divvy it up according to the number of speed indicator devices you have, and that means it could cost us as much as £1,100 per annum. There's another option, which is where they tried to work out how, the £1,100 was based upon the number of respondees so far. Okay, now there's a third option which assumes 50% of the residual councils who haven't yet responded come back, that's the same percentage of the other lot. In which case the cost per speed indicator device per annum is £436. So we're looking at a likely range between 224 and 538. Don't worry about how they get there. But something in the order up to £500 per speed indicator device.
When we want to make a decision on that?
Well, I think at the moment I'm sort of suggesting that we write back to them and say, Wedmore would quite like to sign up for this. Can you give us an idea of what it's actually going to cost? Because I think
And who
we've got,
maintains them, and
I think
and
it's,
are they permanent fixtures? We don't want them stolen a week after they've been installed.
I don't think they're permanent fixtures. I think they're like they are now. So they go up there for a finite period of time and then they come down.
And they do that for us, don't they?
That's the benefit, as far as I understand. We were going to check on that, weren't we? But yeah, it's whether or not we have to do the installation and removal. You know, they're going to, those, as I understand it, those bits.
It'd be nice to move them around, I must admit.
That's the suggestion. Is that way we don't end up with people just getting bored.
So if we get these proposals all tabulated and we have a look at them, we can compare them with that, and then we can make a decision.
I will happily do that. I mean, I just scribbled it down here, and it's horrible. The option, the alternative option is £2,500 to £3,000 we buy our own.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's sort of where we are.
Yeah, well, this, you've got one here, but this one is 1,300.
Yeah, but all they're talking about there is flashing up that that's the speed limit and slow down. They're not flashing the actual speed and like that.
Okay.
Quite often you're coming into 31 hours only, it comes up 45, you're, oh my God, you know. But there is a danger with those, apparently. Somebody was telling me, not so much even in the cities, they have them which flash up your actual speed. And the boy races to see how fast they can get it.
Yeah.
So you limit it to 45.
Okay, so that was something that came through.
There is a speed limit device on the train road now, isn't
There's
there?
one by the central.
Yeah, but they said they don't want to do it anymore, which is interesting.
Sorry?
They did say they weren't going to put them out anymore. didn't
Yeah,
they?
that's right, they did,
Yeah.
and that's why this was a bit of a surprise.
It's all a bit-
It's just something appeared last week, that
No,
one.
it's great. That's great.
Holly, you got an explanation?
No, I've got questions for Steve when we're done with this bit. Are we done with that bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, just a couple of quick questions, Steve, for you. The slow, what are they doing about when you walked around with Catherine Tyson? What are they white lining the slow
That's
sign
what
of
I'm waiting
the
to hear. I emailed her
Okay.
about a week ago and said, where's the results of our walkthrough,
Okay.
when's it going to happen? And
I'm
she
gonna
said
contact
she's
her.
been working on it and
She's nearly
she'll get back to
replied.
us soon.
My major concern, what about the junction with Church Street? Are people continually parking on that corner?
That's
And
right,
all
yes.
the parking places. They are the major snarl up in this village. People park there. I
We don't
presume
want
my
white
lawn
line,
every
we
time
want
they
hashing.
go.
I said, look, we want what was there before. It's bold hatching lines.
Yeah.
Just,
That stopped them.
Or can't you do some low-level bollard or something? I don't know. It's just to stop them parking
I
there.
know.
Because we're all in a hurry. We'd all like to get out and park, but you just can't do it.
I've even got out of the car sometimes and told somebody, I'll only be a few minutes, they
It
say.
drives me nuts. I'm going to contact her separately, but
We'll do that,
did you talk to
Yeah,
her?
Catherine Tyson.
Yeah.
I mean, if she doesn't come back the next week, I should get back to the guy in
Nice.
charge, you know, because it was last October, was it? I walked the page.
Thank you very much. We've got a planning meeting
I haven't
coming.
done anything about CCTVs, but I have, but I haven't been able to time to walk the job with the people who are interested in providing us with CCTV.
Okay, that'll do for next time. Planning, 31 of the first?
31st of January.
Oh, I thought that was the next parish council meeting.
No, third Wednesday of the month.
Planning.
Yeah, I know, that's why I was confused.
No, I always confused.
It's always the third
I said next meeting, didn't say
Yes, you
planning.
did, you're actually right, but
We did say next meeting.
Next
I think the
meeting.
heading of the email said planning meeting.
You did actually, because I didn't say either. Nobody
Well, that's my apologies.
Neither here nor there.
Well, I just think that's a bit weird to have two in a month, and what's happening to the February one?
Outrageous.
Okay,
The council meeting's always on the third
well, that's
Wednesday.
what I thought.
Representatives of committees. Are there more?
No, I've got nothing.
Well, it's planning for the 31st. It didn't say
Players,
that.
there's nobody here. Going Andy? No? Okay, so there's nothing to report from the players. Salt, I don't suppose there's anything, is there?
No.
Playfield management. Holly, what happened?
Laura.
Laura? No.
It was a meeting.
What about your fly tipping issues, Laura?
Yeah, I think the Bowls Club brought that up. Let's see.
Come through.
That's it. Right, yeah, no, that was all that came out. I wasn't really sure all of that, but the main bit was about the pavilion. That's what I was sort of taking notes on. So I'll just try and make it brief in a minute. So basically, the delay was with the pavilion going forward was down to the fact that Sports England, they changed their bond application process. So that's what sort of put it back for like the last 12 months. So Pete Brown has met with Somerset FA and Sport England a couple of times at the end of last year, and they were advised that they could apply for 250,000.
You were encouraged to, weren't you?
Encouraged. Although it's not a guarantee, they said that there's a good chance that they'll get it due to the sort of large number of girls football teams. And yeah, so the last two, so Ilminster Town Football Club and Wendon, have both managed to get their grants, and they were like the sort of two above us. So naturally, they sort of said that we'd be the next ones to be able to get the grant. Fingers crossed. So yeah, so that's going on. They're also putting in an application to Viridor, because I think the Bowls Club, I think it was the Bowls Club, or Sports Club also did that to get a grant. So they're hoping to get 50,000 from that. So that basically gives them 300,000. The expected cost is going to be, I think, about 420, 440. But the hope, so they've obviously they've got they put the tender out to four local builders, and
Tenders have gone out, Mr.
yeah, so until they get the quotations back, they have to put their applications in, but they'll be doing that I think this week, and then it takes 6 weeks to get their decisions back. And then, providing that all goes through, it's about hoping to start the build at the end of spring with a 6-month time span. Getting it done, but that will only cover the ground floor of the building, so potentially.
First floor's not being touched, is it?
No, so they're then looking to sort of get more funding, sort of, I think trying to do it like the Village Hall did with the windows, so putting solar panels on the roof. So people can sponsor a solar panel, and with that in turn that will also save them £2,000 sort of electricity bills. So that's where we are with that at the moment.
Excellent. After, what, a year or more, it's deafening silence?
Yeah.
Get some good news at last.
Yes.
Well done, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Well done, Laura. Village halls. Anything? Anything else here? No? Okay. Village hall? Right.
Can we, before you just silence, Chairman, can we get some, so we're going to volunteer for this Axbridge Deanery invite to meet the
I've
Bishop?
forgotten it was on my notes for the chairman. Yeah, there's a... Can we actually deal with that under matters to report and items for the next meeting? Or just...
Just did a volunteer or something.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, moving on, matters to report and items for the next meeting. The chairman's got a couple of issues that have come up during the course of the month. The Route 67 monies are looking at probably not being changed. The cost to us probably not going to change during the course of this coming year because they've managed to get more customers than they forecast. So that's good. It's going to look like we're looking at like somewhere between 12 and 1,500 quid per annum, which is considerably less than we'd agreed, or we hadn't agreed, but we'd sort of thought we might be prepared to do.
67 buses.
Yeah, the Route 67. We talked about the speed indicator devices. We had an interesting email from Cross and Compton Bishop about, they're concerned about housing development and stuff going on in Bristol Airport. And they're politely suggesting we might get together as a group of interested councils. I think we already do that. I think it's called a cluster meeting. And I'm sort of thinking to myself that really this is something we don't want to get involved in. Personally, I don't think it's a great idea. And we don't want to undermine the cluster group. This is definitely something that they should be talking about.
Yeah.
Two things actually cropping up. 8th of February, which is a really convenient day because it's a Thursday, there's a meeting at the Youth Community Centre in Street between 10 o'clock and 1 p.m. and it is to discuss youth issues in our area. And you know, they are inviting a multiplicity of people who might care to come along and express an opinion or pick up some ideas. So I don't think that's a three-line whip by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, if someone has the opportunity to go.
Just circulate it.
Oh, sorry.
No, sir.
And then, the church meeting. That one's come through fairly recently.
A couple of days ago.
Yeah, the 3rd.
The bishop from Bath and Wells is at Bagley Baptist Church from 2 till 4 on Saturday the 3rd of February. The purpose of the gathering is to hear how we all support our local communities and our different roles as leaders in schools, farmers, village agents, church leaders, youth leaders, etc., etc. And he just wants representatives of the community to come along and just meet him, have a chat, and if anybody's interested in going along.
When was that?
It's Saturday the 3rd of Feb from 2 till 4 at Bagley Church.
I think it's our patch. At least one of us will be there. So, if there's no volunteers, then I'll go. Oh, I'm really looking forward to it.
Well done. I'll second that.
Suzanne?
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Suzanne.
I'll send you the details, Suzanne.
Yes, please do.
Do you want to mention very quickly the meeting we had in Western?
No, I was going to let you do that. Unless you've got something else. The chairman and I had a meeting this week at Western College where one of the students is doing a website for us to try and make ours more interesting. I think he probably agreed with that actually, called Michaela or Michaela. Anyway, he doesn't say a lot. But he does a lot.
That's great.
But the tutor is all over the place, isn't he? He's very keen and full of this and high temper. But this young lad just nods. So it's quite an interesting meeting. But he showed us what he's done. He's done quite an interesting website for us. And he's coming over to take some photographs and put it on there. And we're going back to another meeting probably in 4 or 5 weeks' time of progress. It's got to be finished by Easter apparently, and it's part of his degree course. And it's not going to cost us anything. I think there's £10 a year sign-up fee to register it.
They'll maintain it for us as well.
They'll do everything for us, indeed. Yeah.
But they reckon it's dead easy.
But they reckon it's dead easy to maintain.
Been Greek, but
Yeah. But it's been interesting. And it's
He was very inscrutable, that lad. He was interesting boy. Right. You got anything else?
No, I haven't shown this.
Members.
Just one, Mr. Chairman, I attended the Healthy Western meeting at the football club. It was a very interesting meeting. It's quite intense. There were a lot of people there. But when I went into the room, I was asked who I represented. And I said, well, sort of Wedmore Parish Council. That was how I got to know to it. And all I was wanting to just clear with was that I don't know that I'll ever be quoted, as it happens, which is a rarity. I didn't say a word.
You never say a word, Pete.
But anyway, the thing is, I just wanted to clarify that it may be, because they do take, I got an idea that a lot of it was recorded. You know, if people would be quoted, and it may just say, you know, member of Wedmore Parish Council, or Peter Tinney Wedmore Parish Council. Just
Peter
know,
Tinney said nothing.
yeah, well, I just wanted
It's a
to,
first.
if you
Was
like,
here.
there is 17 main points, I will go through them if you wish me to.
Yeah,
But I just wanted to, you know, if it does, because they were sort of taking pictures and filming, and the local MP turned up just at the right time, now his photograph taken with all the celebrities.
And then left.
But that's beside the point. But I just wanted to, you know, not to find that you come up into something as being quoted as Wedmore Parish Council, that you were happy that I'm quite, I found it fascinating.
Was there anything new came out in why they're organising health in the area, or?
Well, I think that they're looking, aren't they, to have a completely sort of new aspect, and it was just like Mr. Huxtable said, you know, lots more work within the communities and encouragement of community.
Care in the community, eh?
But these things have got to be supported, obviously, and you know, yeah. But it was, and there will be, I think, quite a few more meetings before a report. I mean, no decisions are made. There was no voting or anything like that. But it was an interesting meeting.
Was it well attended?
Yeah, it was.
Because the previous one was appalling.
Was it?
There was one before Christmas and there was nobody there. Not hardly anybody there.
Well, yeah, I would have thought there were 40 at least.
Is there anything about the hospital at all, whether they're going to increase the hours of the emergency covers?
No, they're not really at this meeting anyway. They didn't go into any details of anything. It's just the concept of trying to, you know, it's that really that is all tried. I mean, I don't read, you know, but I did find it very interesting.
This is where the village agent is.
Yeah, yeah. And we were split up into groups, and then, you know, we had a person in charge of each group, and they took notes and what have you, and then we reported back as groups. But there's no, and they made that very clear, there was no decisions being made. There will be other consultation meetings, and, you know, things will be put out. But I just, you know, I thought it was a really worthwhile. I went, and I, you know, didn't know what to expect, but it was a worthwhile meeting, and it was quite high powered. Some of the suggestions we were getting, yeah.
Thank you, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Anybody got anything else? If not,
the villages at the bottom of Village Hill and top of Village Hill. I thought about it recently because somebody else was complaining about the state of it. Why don't we get some nice big attractive architectural rocks and put them on the grass verges? What's the status?
as highways, you know better.
Why?
What happens if
They're not on the highway.
what if somebody hits it? Who's
No,
going to
yeah.
be responsible?
Meter. They didn't meet
Who
two.
put it there? The first person they're on.
Well, they hit a crash barrier. I mean, if it's on the private, if that grass verge belongs to us or the highways, who belongs
Not
to
the highways.
Highway.
First
So
meter.
if I talk to the highways and say, why can't we, then they'll tell me, won't they?
I can tell you what the response is going to be. It's a pretty emphatic, get it out of the way. Now you can think about it.
But why?
2 days, there's some more
Because
outside, it's just going to be
Somebody will drive into it.
Yeah.
So if somebody drives into it and breaks their car,
Good.
they're there.
They should
Sorry,
drive
look,
in.
Pete, get a bit out of order
They can
now.
drive into the corner of the house opposite. Does that mean run up the house there?
Right, Pete, I'm going to close the
One
meeting.
last one.
Now,
Am I right in assuming that drainage is now responsibility of Ricky? Isn't it?
yeah, please. So he's not here tonight, but yeah, he tells me that he's got quite a lot of stuff gathered up already. I've got a load for him. So make sure he's got plenty of emails.
Thank you.
Okay, now you can't go.
I'm just trying to
We're
cover it.
just getting towards.
Suzanne's
No,
got.
no, no, I was just going to suggest that perhaps we might, as a parish council, support one of the signposts.
Good idea.
I mean, not to other people, yes, finger posts, yes. Can we not? as a
Can we
council-
discuss that as an option for our next meeting?
Yes, please.
You got that, Rob? Hang on, come on then.
You know, you asked me to go and meet this lady from Brighton University about the levels and moors. Well, at long last today, we've made contact with one another. She rings me and I'm not there, and I ring her and she's not there. But we're having a meeting on the Monday or Tuesday, last Monday or Tuesday, in the Scout Hut in Wedmore to start it off. And I think I'm going to be the only farmer on this panel, and I think that is disgusting for a rural area.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It looks like I'm going to have to take on the conservationists and all them. So if you hear I've had a riot should know what it is.
You have a
No, because I'm quite happy to work with her. She's been very nice. It was a very nice conversation. We had nearly a half an hour, might be more on the phone. But I was very enthusiastic about it, and I told her she's going to take a morning interview with each of us on this panel.
Or one of you.
No, I think there's 10 of us.
Oh, okay.
It's from all round the whole of Somerset, and they're meeting in the Scout Hut for their sort of get together and consensus of what we're going to look at. But it seemed very interesting. I thank you for putting me on it, because I think I shall enjoy it.
Excellent. Right one for the job. You love nothing more than a good riot.
I think you might get one there.
Camera still going?
No, camera's switched off.
No, come on.
Sorry,
I had to express an interest for this request because I live near to the borough.